Ladies and gentlemen, hello, and welcome to my review of the 2017 live action Ghost in the Shell movie. If you're new here, welcome, welcome. You can watch my full length reaction to the movie on the channel that I just uploaded today. And I'm giving my final thoughts on it. It's okay. I think there's different viewing experiences you would get from it depending on your knowledge of Ghost in the Shell. Um, Well, there's three. There's lore masters who know like everything about Ghost in the Shell, which isn't me. I'm in category two, which is fans of Ghost in the Shell, where I've seen almost every animation part of it. I haven't read the manga, but I've seen almost everything except season two of the newest one and the Arise recap OVAs. But I know quite a bit, and I do enjoy the original story. And then you have completely new viewers. I do think the viewing experience would probably be best for completely new viewers because they take themes and scenes from the original story, kind of make it a little Hollywoody and make it like an intro story. So you kind of get more eased into the world of Ghost in the Shell through it. As a fan, it's alright. Going into it, I didn't know anything. I didn't even watch the trailer. All I knew is that Scarlett Johansson looked hot as Motoko, and I was right. She does look hot as Motoko. The story itself, again, very Hollywood-like, very generic. They do tackle some of the themes in Ghost in the Shell, just not in a creative way like the original series. Not very predictable, and not in like a hype way. Um, I think the biggest problem for me personally, um, is the character of Motoko herself. Again, Scarlett Johansson, I think appearance-wise, she was a very good Motoko. I think direction of the story-wise, she was not. She was almost like the complete opposite of the Motoko we know and love. Because again, they were making this an intro story, so the Motoko we know has been in a fully synthetic body for years. This Motoko is fresh, so she's like completely inexperienced. So she's not really cocky. She's kind of robotic. She's struggling. It's the common trope we see in stories, sci-fi stories a lot. You know, cyborgs struggling with their humanity. Um, while in the original story, Motoko's just a badass, doesn't give shit. She's full of personality. She's socially inept, but full of personality. This Motoko felt very robotic, pretty flat. She had some cheeky moments which I liked, but most of it was boring and cheesy one-liners, and it wasn't a great performance for me personally. I will say for the story, I did enjoy the parts where they did just take stuff from the original story and mix it in with their newish story. You know, they took the geisha scene from Standalone Complex, kind of mixed it with the original intro scene from the movie. They took the guy running away and the stealth fight on the lake or in the water from the movie. They added Kozu in, one of the main antagonists from Second Did, which made sense because they're making it an origin story and he's very integral to Motoko's storyline. And they fused it with the main antagonist of the movie, kind of, which it made sense. Um, Obviously, felt completely different from the Kozu we know, but it's okay. And of course, they took the iconic spider tank scene from the movie, um, final climax sort of thing. And those scenes were fun. They were fun. My favorite scene was probably the stealth fight in the water, and the chase scene I thought was the best. And they had those little references like the secretaries, you know, fingers going all, you know, splitting apart and doing the boo kind of thing looked cool. Um, just Motoko's character, man. I don't know. It's just not the like. I wanted to see the Motoko we know and love. Um, and it's true they do tackle this cyborg humanity dilemma in the TV show. But Motoko doesn't go through it. It's usually someone else, except for like Sutton did with the Tozu thing. Like, I don't know. She just didn't feel like a strong character. She felt very vulnerable, and she's still like trying to find her setting. Because at first it's only been 1 year since she's transferred in the body. Well, the Motoko we know has been Motoko for a while. Um, I just wish they didn't do that direction. Honestly, I wish they didn't make it an origin story, but maybe that's more for the fans and not for the general audiences. Speaking of characters, favorite was definitely Bato. I thought the casting was great. He looked like Bato. His accent was funny. He was tough. He was huge. I really liked him. I think the only thing I didn't like was they even had the fucking Bato origin stories for the eyes, which I thought was funny because you first see him and I'm like, oh no Bato eyes, but then he gets them. But the problem was when they installed the eyes, they took the shape of his eyeballs and put the things in instead of doing what they did in the anime and filling the socket, so it looked kind of small and awkward. Like they didn't take the eyeballs out. They put like things over it so you can see the outline of it. And it didn't cover the whole socket, so they just looked kind of small. So that's the only appearance thing I kind of criticize, but I think Bato was definitely the strongest character. He was fun. Oh yeah, they also took the scene where Motoko was underwater and Bato snuck onto the boat for some beers. That was a good scene. They did have Todessa. I love Todessa. He's actually my favorite side character over Bato in the TV series, but he didn't really have much of a role. He had this cool pew 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 moment when Sechinan was getting hunted. They had Aramaki as what's his name? I didn't know his name in the while watching the movie, but it's Yakuza man who also directs Yakuza movies. Very popular. Takashi Kitano. Yes, Fireworks I think he directed, or Hibiki. Yeah, Fireworks. Sonatine. Oh, Sonatine's fun. He did The Blind Swordsman. I don't know that was him. If you haven't seen his movies, you've probably seen him if you've seen Yakuza movies. He's in a lot of them, but his movies are pretty unique. Sonatine's was like really trippy. That one's a classic. He was Aramaki, which was surprising. I don't know if I loved his Aramaki one, especially near the end with his cheesy vengeance and gunslinging. He did have a really good moment where he pushed back against the CEO guy, where he was threatening Sechinan, and he's like, "Sorry, sir, I took orders from the prime minister, not you." Kind of in the Aramaki style pushback, but it's always a pleasure to see him in movies, so I'm not too mad about that. We also had Saito. Surprisingly, he was just there for one line, and then he sniped the helicopter. But it's nice to see him. But the rest of Sechinan were just replacements. And it seemed like a waste. I wouldn't be mad if they did something, but I'm pretty sure they just appeared and said like 5 lines maximum each. Like if they're gonna be nothing characters, you might as well just put people that look like Ishikawa, Boomer, and Pazu. I feel like they almost kind of seem like token characters. I don't want to say that though. It's always cringe, but they're just useless. They're not there. Again, I wouldn't be mad if they actually had like a new personality. They were doing something, but they contributed nothing. They didn't even get their own scene when Sechinan was dead and hunted down. It was just Aramaki, Bato, and Pazu, Todessa. So Sechinan, I wish they focused a little more. I wish Todessa was in it a little more, but I guess Todessa wasn't an integral part to the original movie, which is where they took the most inspiration from, despite taking some from Standalone Complex. Music was fine. All the technical aspects were fine. Like I didn't love the fighting. Some of it was good though. Some of it was flashy. Some of the flashing lights were too much. I liked the one where they stunned and captured Motoko, but It like ruined it at the end. um, some of the scenes were good. They do a lot of slow mo, but it's like weird slow mo, where it's not slow enough, where it feels like slow mo, but it doesn't feel slow. I didn't love that. Besides the stealth water fight, it looked pretty good. But the combat was alright. Some scenes were good, some scenes were not. Um, I think this, like, I didn't love the overshot of the city, but to be fair, designing the Ghost in the Shell city is very awkward, since it needs to be futuristic but also look old because, you know, it's an old story. um, I didn't need the one-liners, man. I hated them. I hate one-liners in general, though. Yeah, the story was, again, it felt very Hollywood. It felt dumbed down. Um, it felt for general audiences, basically. I didn't hate it, but it was a little boring. Probably the worst entry does in the show, but honestly, it's not bad. Um, the main villain, pretty one note. The doctor is probably the most interesting part of the villain, or maybe Kozu. I guess is fine. Apparently, they were abandoned. Well, when before she turned into a robot, that's what it seemed like they implied. Um, I will say also, like, I remember some of the buzz around the movie was the whitewashing in it. And I explained it a little in the reaction, but now that I watched the movie, I will say this movie is like definitely not whitewashing at all. I think it actually did very good in representation. One, I explained in my reaction that I think whitewashing, there's levels when you adapt anime into live action movies, especially if you're in America. Like for me, like if it depends on the anime, right? If it's a fantasy setting, who cares? Or if it's a sci-fi setting, like kind of who cares? Like, again, it's future Japan. You expect it to be more multicultural. In the movies, you can literally change your appearance because of the technology. Like, it's a lot less bad than say you put white characters in a Higurashi adaptation or something. I think it just matters if the nationality of the characters are integral to the narrative or part of the characters. But I wouldn't really say it's that important, besides maybe Togusa's character. But they were super respectful, right? Um, Togusa was Japanese, Aramaki was Japanese, he even spoke Japanese, and you might be like weirded out because no one else did, but again, it's the future. I assume they have translators in their cyber brains. Saito was Japanese, Bato wasn't, but Bato like he was pretty white in the show. Let's be honest. And the major was Japanese, but then she got switched into an android body that looked white. So it's like it's actually like just completely like proper. And there were two black characters, but again, those were the throwaway members of Section 9, and they were new characters. It wasn't like they weren't Paz and Boomer, so I thought they did very good. I don't really see the complaints. I think people are just mad that they um you know, Scarlett Johansson was a character named Matoko, but it made complete sense in the context of the story. So I don't know. People, it's a very touchy subject, and I'm sure I understand why people can get mad at it. But again, it's a case by case basis, and I feel like you just look into it. Again, it's not like you're adapting, you're putting like a bunch of white people in like a historic anime setting, because that's a lot different because it matters a lot more compared to like a sci-fi where or fantasy where it's a lot less important in my opinion. But anyways, kudos for them. I thought I was good. Um, what would you rank it? I'd give it a 5 out of 10. I think it's average. And then there were some moments I really enjoyed, and I really enjoyed Bato's performance. He was stellar to watch, but it does counterbalance with how boring and generic the movie felt, despite being, having a really great source material. And then I loved looking at Motoko, Scarlett Johansson. I hated listening to her because her acting was so flat. And I don't think that's their fault. I think it was the script. I think the script told her to act, talk like a robot, have this fucking robotic crisis. How human am I? People are saying I'm part human, but I'm also full body robot. Um, when it's just not Motoko's character. I wish they would have just said to Starla, just, you know, drop the robotic act. Motoko doesn't act robotic. She's a badass. One of the best female characters in anime, in my opinion. Full of personality, full of sass, and it just didn't come out in this adaptation of the story. And I wish they changed that. They could have done the full. They could have done the origin story and just made her sassy. Just made her more Motoko than what they did, in my opinion. But yeah, that's it. Decent movie. Would I recommend watching it? I usually only recommend movies I give 6 or higher out of 10. So no, I wouldn't. But who knows? Maybe it can get you into Ghost in the Shell, or you're just a Ghost in the Shell fan and you want to complete everything like I do. Then I would check it out. You might like it. It's very soft Ghost in the Shell, but it's possible to like. And if you did get into Ghost in the Shell after watching it, either with me or without me, again, would recommend going into the TV series. It's very great. I suggest don't start with the movies. Start with standalone complex because it's the best there is in Ghost in the Shell, in my opinion. Or you can start with Arise because it's timeline based. If you want to go chronologically with the plot, you start with Arise and go through standalone complex. If you just want to go standalone complex and through and then go back to Arise. Well, Arise came later, but it's based on the formation of Section 9, which is a prequel to standalone complex. And the movies, right? You can watch that after. It's not as good as standalone complex, so. But I would definitely. And then the movies. The movies are good too. I just think like they're just random arts. I would think it's better to check out the TV series, so you get a better understanding of the worlds before jumping into like a random arc of Ghost in the Shell. Anyways, guys, that's all I got. Thank you for watching. If you watched the movie, thank you for watching that too. Going back into movie night, we've been on a multiple month hiatus. We used to post a lot of movies, but you know, it just the direction of the channel changes with the wind for the bonus contests at least. So it is what it is. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you want to sub, consider it. We have a lot of anime related content. You love my hot takes, I'm here all day. And you know, like, comment, whatever. And I hope you have a good rest of the day. Thank you for watching. Peace.